that.
We're talking to clergy at convention.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I don't know what area this would be in. All right, let me just talk about it for a second, then you can maybe come up with a question. But I've been to other dioceses and like I went to a couple of conventions up in Pittsburgh when I was in seminary, and I've been to different conventions, and I've seen the way the women are just, I mean, it's almost equal, men and women at the convention. Ministries, the women's ministry, it has a focal spot in that diocese. And so I think that we're walking towards that. I think that what's one of the beautiful things is that Bishop Lawrence, I mean, he wants the women's ministry to grow and to be a presence in the diocese. And so I think that, and that is happening. And so I do think, though, that it really is going to depend on the clergy. The clergy are going to have to see that presence really needs to be highlighted. Because otherwise what will happen is that women will just sort of go into their own little group and sort of isolate themselves because they're not willing to fight the battle. Whereas if we have, not only the clergy, but also the men of the diocese who see our presence is absolutely important. I think that is moving us in a direction that will help the diocese and the church grow in an incredible way. So just recognizing that we've got a situation that we need to address, that right there is half the battle. And I think we're doing that. I think Bishop Lawrence has a desire and a zeal to have the women of this diocese be a presence, because he knows that there is some valuable gifting in the women, and I appreciate that so much. And that's why I love this diocese and why I want to be a part of it. So anyway, just some thoughts about that.
One thought I'd like you to get out on tape or on camera or film or whatever we're doing here is if we were going to put something on the website, okay, where if I was a woman in a congregation and I was kind of on the fence, do I approach my clergy about, possibly stepping the women's ministry up? Number one, where is that biblically? And number two, how do I do that? What's the best way to approach my clergy as far as wanting to really kind of rev up the women's ministry?
Wow. Well, see, I mean, it is the Bible. I mean, it is the Bible. God created male and female. And because he created male and female, he expected them to be the presence, male and female, in the human race. And all the ministry that is done, we each take our role. And in Galatians, one of the things that Paul talks about in Galatians, and I think it's chapter 3, but I don't have that right in my mind at the minute. But in Galatians, he says that there is no difference. There is no difference between Jew or Greek or slave or free. And it's interesting that he says man and woman. And when you do a little study on that and exegete that and look at the Greek, what you see is that it really is man and woman. Whereas when he talks about the others, it's or. But when he talks about man and woman, it's man and woman. Because we go together, we move together, we complement each other. And if I was going to walk through this building and there was only half of me, I would have a hard time if I didn't have a crutch. Now, I'm not saying that women are crutches. Lord forbid. But what I am saying is that it brings about a completion. So the Bible is actually full from Genesis 1 all the way through as if it's normal. And you know, we don't have to recreate the wheel, but we've got to have the presence of women talked about. And it's got to be something that we understand that it brings about completion. It brings about our unity as the body of Christ.
How do I approach, if I'm a woman who's really, really excited about women's ministry?
Yeah.
You know, what's the best way for me to approach my clergy, you know, and really kind of get the point across without, you know.
Well, one thing is if you're excited about women's ministry and you want to be involved in the women's ministry in your church, go to your rector. Go to your priest and talk to them and say, these are some of the things that I think God has gifted me with. These are some of the things that I would like to do. Can you help direct me in that direction? Now, this is where you see, once again, we come in, the clergy come in. We've got to have that on our radar. It can't be something like, oh, well, let me think who you can call. See, the minute that he says something or she says something like that to a woman, it's moving that person over and assigning them to someone else. But if he or she if we have that on our radar, then you see we've already got that information. And we can say, well, these are the things we've got going on right here. And this lady right here, she just happens to be our president. And so let me give you her number so that you can connect with her. And then also let me give you an outline of what's going on in the diocese. So see, it's on the radar. It's not something he's got to sort of muffle around to try to find the paper. And so I think that's there again, see, it comes back to the clergy, that it is a big, big bleep on the radar screen.
Is it worth mentioning anything about mentoring or?
Oh, I love discipleship.
So mentoring and by the fact that the diocese has plenty of resources and we do prayer ministry, you know, like
Yeah.
our mission, just touching a little bit on that.
You know, one thing that I want to say about